All right, ladies and gentlemen, 6 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Thank you all for being here. Madam Clerk, you ready?
Mayor Holland.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Taylor.
Here.
Commissioner Brownlow.
Here.
Commissioner Sanderson.
Here.
Commissioner Sawyer. Commissioner Wooten.
Here. Commissioner Sawyer is not here, so we would need a motion to excuse him from the meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to excuse Commissioner Sawyer for personal reasons.
Okay, motion is on the floor by Commissioner Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that motion is carried. Please bow your heads, excuse me, with me in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for our many blessings and that we not take any day for granted. And in your precious name we pray. Amen.
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 Please stand and face our flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Excuse me. All right, item number 5 would be public comment. There was a sign-up sheet, as always, by the on the table by the door. If you signed up, your name will be called in the order you signed up. You have 3 minutes. If you miss the sign-up sheet, don't worry. At the end of everybody that signed up, you'll have a chance to come up and speak. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. At the end of the 3 minutes, I'll thank you for your comments, not to cut you off in mid-sentence, but again, to finish your thought, be respectful for the other speakers. Yes, ma'am.
Tyler Brownlow.
Good evening, Tommy. There's a switch on the bottom. That thing's kind of funky. Sorry. It's got a little delay.
Am I good now?
There we go. Yes, sir.
All right. When do I start?
You're ready now, sir.
Okay. Again, my name is Tyler Brownlow, and I'm a lifelong third-generation resident of Emerald Isle for 34 years. I'm here today not just as a concerned parent, but as someone who has never experienced this level of unnecessary and inappropriate treatment from certain town commissioners and staff regarding my family's home site at 330 Live Oak Street. Our home site, First, we categorically reject the town's false claim that our home site is anything short of 35% natural area. As you were already told during the public hearing on our property on October 31st, we have an official engineer stamped site plan demonstrating our compliance, and your planning staff have been kept in the loop every step of the way. Second, the fact that some of you continue to create and spread disinformation about our property for political purposes is astoundingly unprofessional. You don't have to agree with the vision of this board's minority to make Emerald Isle a family beach again, but the spectacle this administration has deliberately created is simply ridiculous. I can only imagine how much taxpayer money you've wasted on it. Third, we are extremely concerned about the ways you try to investigate our property. You send someone out to our home site who is not trained in land surveying and can only make estimations. That flawed number was then shared at an unrelated stormwater committee meeting. You also flew the town drone over our property and used it to take photos without our consent or knowledge. Have you ever done that to other properties? And were they informed of it? Lastly, our address where my wife and I will be raising our infant son and kindergarten age son was put on full display for the town's more than 56,000 Facebook followers, with the potential to reach even more. And your public notice on Tuesday, October 29th. Of course, no other addresses were listed, and the hearing notice just my family's. Not only is this profoundly disrespectful and endangers my family, and an elected town official further amplified this recent hearing on social media after we made it very clear that there have been safety issues with the town's broadcasting of our home address. It goes without saying that there are serious moral and ethical shortcomings in this administration. Since the start of this so-called investigation, coincidentally the very day it began, we have experienced alarming harassment from a menacing individual known to target local families. This person has repeatedly followed my family, showing up at our home site and even at my child's bus stop, twice. This behavior is not only unacceptable, but also deeply concerning for our family's safety and well-being. We expect commissioners, especially the ones preaching nice matters, and town staff to show respect to the families that live here and vote here, not humiliate and degrade them. The fundamental lack of accountability and respect for my family and our community is simply astonishing. Our physical and mental health has been negatively impacted. Our privacy has been stripped away. My oldest son is having frequent nightmares about the individual who's been following us around. My family's home is not your bargaining chip or a target for political games. I'm asking you to stop weaponizing your political positions and authority and start respecting my family's peace and privacy. We've always been good neighbors and community members. We're just asking to be treated with decency. Thank you in advance for your cooperation.
Thank you, sir.
Joy Brownlow.
Good evening, Joy.
You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Joy Brownlow. I live at 7506 Town Drive. That was my oldest son. I have lived here for 36 years, and my husband has lived here for 60 years as a lifelong resident. My mother-in-law, who is now passed, lived here while raising her children as one of Emerald Isle's first-generation families. She owned the Tackle Box fishing store at K&V Plaza. My single adult son lives here. My married son's daughter-in-law and 2 grandsons live here. I share this to say that in all these years of 4 generations of family living in this town, we have never experienced so much ill will directed towards our family from Town Hall, even to the point of where staff from Town Hall is pulling up my 2 sons on LinkedIn to investigate, I assume, where they work. I realize that anybody can pull up anybody on LinkedIn, but what reason would you have to be checking where my sons work when you start an investigation on me and my property at 330 Live Oak? If you have an issue, if anybody has an issue with me or my property, I respectfully ask that you call me, email me, sit and talk with me, but please do not be invasive regarding my sons. The same day I was made aware of the town's investigation on me, I had a driver of a vehicle with completely blacked out windows and grayed out tag pull up to me at my job site at 330 Live Oak when I was checking on it, and sat there and watched me for over 10 minutes. It followed me right after I left. I did not call the police that day because I assumed, and I was feeling like such a terrible person that warranted an investigation, that someone had a PI on me. I have been told that was not the case. Nonetheless, the same vehicle has come back to the site right up on my husband when he was checking on it, and then several times involving my older son and at my grandchild's bus stop. I have no way of knowing if this is because my address is being out there, published out there online by Facebook groups, town hall, etc., for all the world to see. I have no idea if it's connected. It's just ironic that this started the exact same day. I have pictures and videos. The same day the investigation started. It is, and it feels extremely dangerous towards my family. After I was notified of said investigation, I called the county to request a list of all the new construction in Emerald Isle. After I finally caught my breath, picked myself up, and started riding around and looking at all the other new construction sites that I could view from the street, I was shocked. Some of these sites have literally what appears to be less than 5% natural. I have copies of the new construction list tonight with me for anybody who wants one, and you can ride around and go see them as I did. I would highly recommend that any and all parties, citizens, staff, commissioners who are truly concerned about my property, please take a copy of this list and go out, drive around to the other sites. Town Hall, Please require an as-built survey for all sites, just like the one I just obtained. Please have everyone do this before the CO. I've done this. Please have definitions and policies the same for everyone. I want to follow rules. I take pride in following rules, and I do follow the rules. My property is not a spec house or a business venture, even though people are certainly allowed to do all the investments and spec houses they want to. But this is a home for a family with an infant and a 5-year-old, which is 4th generation here. So I ask you to please have compassion and respect for us the way that we have. We've been good neighbors, volunteers in our local community the whole time I've lived here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Jamie Vogel.
Good evening, Jim.
Mayor, commissioners, staff, thank you for all you do. Not an easy seat that you sit in. Jamie Vogel, first of all, 8908 Dune Ridge Court, that's my address. I'm here to address the issues raised in the October 31st meeting regarding the town attorney. The meeting was a clear example of the experience gap we're facing in our town's legal representation. Emerald Isle is not just any small town in North Carolina. We're a mature beach community with complex challenges that require an attorney that's well-versed in town government intricacies, public safety, and real property matters. During that meeting, we saw a critical lapse in judgment. The town attorney allowed a seated commissioner to vote on a matter that clearly warranted a more cautious approach. This lack of guidance placed all commissioners at risk and overlooked the need to protect the integrity of our process. Commissioner Brownlow should have received advice from the town attorney on a recusal, not an endorsement to proceed on the vote. The role of the town attorney is to safeguard the interests of the entire town. Our town deserves a legal representative who understands these nuances and acts to protect our community, all commissioners, town staff, and our future. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Irv Monclova.
Good evening, Irv.
Hello, sir. Hello, am I there?
Any future speakers, we'll leave it on. That
Okay
thing is-
now?
Yes, sir, that thing's complicated.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody here. I am going to start with a quote, one sentence. Thanksgiving Day is the beginning of the Christmas season, the favorite time of my life. That was one sentence taken from a speech given on a celebration of the 4th of July in New York City in 1779.
Mr. Monclova, I'm sorry to cut you off. Hold that up so everybody listening at home could hear you.
I'm sorry.
There we go. Yes, sir. Thank you.
You want me to start all over again?
No, sir, you're good.
That was George Washington. I think most of us agree with that too, that the Christmas season is one of our favorite times of the year. Let's all try to be brothers and sisters. We are all part of the greatest nation in this United States of America. It's the greatest nation ever in the history of mankind. Let's work together as a team. The last thing that I want to say is that Steve Finch started a small department of volunteers, committee of 5, and we started working the town. And thanks to the Board of Commissioners, they approved money for us to reach a level of money necessary to start Christmas decorations in the area from Black Skimmer all the way to the entrance to to Coast Guard Road. We were able to do that. The town manager was very helpful, advising us where to go, how to do it, and then he procured the stuff. So on Thanksgiving night, we will see 70 of our light poles, the small poles, with garlands and LED Christmas lights. And thank you for all those people that contributed to it. And we're just very grateful and happy to be an American. USA.
Ronnie Watson.
Good evening, Ron.
I heard somebody don't like my hat, but that's tough. Well, I'm having a good week. We got President Trump elected. As all of you know, I'm a Trump fan, whether you like it or not. And a lot of people do, and a lot of people don't. Move on. Well, I just want to say something. Why are we having so many special meetings? I don't really understand it. I know October the 31st that Mr. Taylor and Miss Sanderson called for a special meeting. But why? What did we get out of it? How much did that cost the town? And it seems like to me that you're on a witch hunt, and it's not right. Because, I don't have to tell you what I'm talking about. You already know. But I just wish that y'all would just think about what it's costing the town. And also, Ms. Anderson, you made a motion, and Mr. Taylor seconded, to fire our town attorney. Why? They just got started. It don't make sense to me. And it upsets me. I've checked out this law firm, and they're wonderful, and they're good, and they know how to do the job. But I appreciate you listening to me. You take care.
Thanks, sir.
Bonnie Schroeder.
Here she is. Bonnie,
Oh, no.
Grady and Bonnie. Okay.
you were checking in.
I signed the wrong sheet.
That's all.
Did we miss any, or did anyone, if I missed anyone that missed the sign-up sheet for public comment? All right, thank you all very much. All right, item number 7 is the adoption of the agenda. Commissioner Wooten, you wanted to speak before that, sir? Is that
Yeah,
right?
I wanted to make a motion to see if we could pull out item number 9C from the consent agenda, which is the minutes from that most recent October 31st special meeting. I saw a couple omissions, things that weren't recorded in those meetings, and I know we were short-staffed. Jen was out, so either we can discuss or debate it tonight or push it to next month, and we can provide input over email or however, but I would just like to pull that out and tune it up before we adopt those minutes.
Okay. That being
That's my
said.
motion.
Yes, sir. That being said, and the motion being new tonight, suggestion, go with it or not, would be to make a motion to pull 9C from the consent agenda, give all 5 members of the board an opportunity to review the minutes and provide input, and then we can place it on the December agenda for further consideration. That's just a suggestion, but.
I love that motion.
All right,
Let's say I just made it.
All right, yeah, no, that's fine. Motion is on the floor by Commissioner Wooten to remove item 9C from the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion is carried. Thank you. And now back to item number 7 would be the adoption of agenda as amended. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
So moved.
All right, that motion is by Commissioner Sanderson. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that motion is carried. Thank you all. Item number 8 would be proclamations and public announcements. I believe our public announcements are up next, unless I'm mistaken.
It is time for the November public announcements. Join the Emerald Isle Police Department on November 19th, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. in the Town Board Meeting Room for the next Police Educating the Public. The Golf Cart Advisory Committee meets November 19th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. in the Town Boardroom. Get to know your local officers. Join us on November 21st, 2024 from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the Town Board Meeting Room. Ask questions, share concerns, or just chat over coffee. The Town Planning Board will meet on November 25th, 2024 at 6 p.m. The town's administrative offices will be closed November 28th and November 29th for Thanksgiving. The community center will be closed on Thanksgiving Day. Kick off the holiday season on November 30th, 2024 with the Emerald Isle Christmas Parade, celebrating community spirit and holiday cheer. The next Neighborhood Watch meeting is on December 3rd, 2024 at 4 p.m. in the Town Board Meeting Room. Share your ideas at Community Conversations on December 4th, 2024 from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. at the Trading Post. Meet our commissioners, discuss town topics, and connect with neighbors in a casual setting. Get your holiday shopping done at the Holiday Arts and Crafts Fair on December 14th, 2024 from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Islander Hotel. The gymnasium will be closed from November 12th, 2024 through January 2nd, 2025 as we install a new floor. Please note this timeline is tentative, so stay tuned for any changes. And the next Emerald Isle Board of Commissioners will hold their monthly meeting on December 10th, 2024 from 6 to 7:30 p.m. in the Town Board Meeting Room.
Thank you very much. Item 8B would be a very well-deserved retirement recognition for Jerry Talton. Do we have anything for Jerry up on the board there? I know he's a low-key kind of guy, but longtime Parks and Recreation employee, Jerry Talton has retired from the town of Emerald Isle. Jerry dedicated 22 years of his professional life to the town, and I personally want to wish him a very happy retirement. I had the opportunity to bump into Jerry at the KMV getting gas the day before his last day, and just a super good guy. Came up to me, let me know that the next day was his last day, and shook my hand, thanked everybody for everything, and was very grateful for the opportunity to serve our town for 22 years. Again, Jerry's not a front of the house, bells and whistles kind of guy, but salt of the earth, really fine man, and I wish on behalf of the town the best for Jerry and whatever his next chapter holds. So thank you to Jerry. Item 8C, we have a new full-time firefighter paramedic. We want to welcome Evan Fleming to the team. There he is. Hey, yeah, come on up. Yeah, come on. Yeah, say a little something. Why not?
Hello. Hey, it's nice to meet everybody. I'm Evan Fleming. I have been a paramedic for 4 years now. I've been in EMS for around 5 years. It's an absolute honor and a pleasure to come meet and serve the citizens and the visitors of this great place. I'd like to say, it was a move for get closer to family, but in reality it was for the duck hunting and the fishing. So I plan to see all of you around, hopefully in the grocery store and not in your homes, but I'm here for you if you need me, and look forward to talking to everybody. Thank you.
All right. Well, for a second, you were tell us why you want to be the next American Idol. Here, come sit up here. No, welcome, sir. We're glad to have you. Thank you very much. All right. That being said, we have item number 9. We have an amended consent agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the amended consent agenda?
So moved.
Commissioner Sanderson with the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that motion is carried. Thank you very much. Catch up on the green sheet here.
Mayor, you skipped number 6.
I
The
did.
public comment follow-up.
I did. We heard you follow up to public comments. Do we have printed copies? Okay. I apologize. We have a permanent agenda item with the quote-unquote, we heard you follow-ups to prior public comments. There are printed copies on the table as you came in. If you didn't grab one on the way in, please feel free to grab one on the way out. Thank you, Jim. All right, item number 10 is continued discussions related to the notice of violation process as it pertains to dunes of vegetation, tree removal, and home occupation permit violations. Gonna give the floor to the board. Floor is yours.
Mayor, if I may, I'd probably recommend we go into a closed session with some information that Mr. Smith may need to share with the board, town manager, et cetera.
Okay. I have no issue with that. I don't want to do anything the wrong way. We didn't advertise for a closed session. Again, want to do things the right way. We didn't give public notice that there'd be a closed session. I would entertain legal advice on whether we can or cannot go into closed session at this time without proper notice to the public. I would also entertain a motion to table the item to a further, or to a later date. So I don't want to misstep legally, professionally, or anything like that, so.
Well, what I can tell you, it involves potential litigation, which is one of the statutory reasons some of this information that needs to be discussed is not publicly disseminable.
Okay. That being said, again, to err on the side of caution, fairness, transparency, I would probably err on the side of caution towards tabling the matter and giving proper public notice for a closed session.
Make a motion to table item 10 until the December 10th board meeting.
Commissioner Sanderson has the motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, item number 11 would be street asphalt presentation. Our esteemed Works Director, Joe Smith. Floor is yours, sir. Excuse me.
Good evening, Mayor, Board. Tonight I'd just like to present the asphalt paving roads that we went out and assessed for this year's power bill money. Here are the 6 locations that we went out and checked that are in need of replacing.
Hey, Joe, would you mind the mic for everybody? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Here are the 6 roads, areas that we'd like to have paved or with the power bill money this year. It'll be Live Oak Street, the 7600 block of Sound Drive, Lee and Hickory on Sound Drive in that area, the whole Hickory Street, the intersection of around Lee and Sound Drive, and then the 8610 canal is just, it's from Old Ferry to just beyond 8610. It's just potholed up, so I would like to get that area redone. Like I said, that money is through Power Bill Fund, no money from the town. But Coast Guard Road, from the past couple storms we've had, there's been some potholes that have developed up. I mean, we've patched them, but if the board, I'm asking if you consider to let us pave and restripe that one would come out of town funds, Laura? The fund balance, and the cost to do that one's $135,000. I'm just asking, take it in consideration to be done. If you don't want to do it this year, that's fine. We can table it till next year. It's just, it was one of the things that I just wanted to get out there and see if we can get done.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, I have Joe up at the podium. I'll open it up to the board for first questions or comments for Joe, and then discussion.
I'll go. I was able to ride around to those locations, and they are in fact a little banged up, so I think that makes sense.
Yes.
Do you have a prioritized list of, like, if there was enough money, what would the 7th one be or the 8th one? Do you rack and stack them that way, or how do you decide what gets done?
Yes, we go out, we check for all kinds of different things, cracks and gatoring and potholes and stuff like that. So we kind of go through to see what's the worst. Is it crumbling? Is it falling apart? The the 6 that we did were the worst. There was one other one that I did add in there, and that was Leisure Lane. But I figured these were more important than Leisure Lane, and Coast Guard was a little bit more than Leisure Lane, even though I know it is a little bumpy and stuff like that. But those, we could probably make a couple of repairs in-house to fix that for now and add that to the next one. So that's that. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you did. No, thank you. And I think,
Okay.
and that makes sense, and I'm a fan of using non-local money where we can, and I'm a fan of fixing the roads, but I think we probably need to have a little bit more of a, instead of just patching things as they go, and maybe there is a strategic maintenance plan, or there's some way that we're gonna pave all these roads over time, and I just don't know what it is. But this strikes me as it might be a better discussion for our upcoming budget planning.
Yes.
And, you know, with the next year coming, who knows what the revenue stream's gonna look like? There might be an opportunity to fix more. So I like doing the Powell Bill ones, and I take your recommendation on what the worst ones are.
Okay.
But I would probably defer further patching till after we bake it into the budget process.
Yeah, I mean, if any potholes are firm, we're gonna go out there and take care of that. And then I try to go out once a week or once a month. We try to go out and I try to assess, you know, the streets just to see what they are, and then we mark it down. So like you said, in the future, I know what they are, and then this is what we're coming up with. And I know these areas were kind of not missed, but
Yeah.
last year when we did the Power Bill paving, they were there, but just didn't have enough to go that way. So that's why I knew in this time they were ready, and these were the streets that had to be addressed right now.
Yeah. The other thing I learned driving around, and I should have known, but I didn't know it, is things that are next to like retaining ponds. If those ponds get filled up and drain, I guess, a lot, that tends to erode away at the side of the road. So I imagine those get special attention as well.
Yes, we'll try to, you know, like you said, we'll try to monitor that, and we'll bring in some fill on the side of the road with, you know, rock and ABC and Romero, stuff like that to try to help hold that in. Because like you said, if it's not stable at the edge of the road, that's when we start getting the deteriorating and the breaking on the edges and stuff like that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Joe, I think you and your partner do a tremendous job of taking care of the town and maintaining the infrastructure. And I'm a motorcycle enthusiast myself, and if anybody pays attention to potholes, I do. And so I did ride around and look at some of these. I do wish that we'd have gotten this information sooner. We received it on a Saturday and really didn't have a chance to look at it. I did pull out some of the budgets from the budget workshop, some of the information we looked over, and I didn't see anything that we had discussed for pulling money from the general fund for Coast Guard Road at this time. I do support the Powell Bill spending for the other roads, and I'll just trust your judgment. Those are the priority roads.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm good with that. I know it was on my list. It was towards the bottom, and I just figured, well, you know what, well, I'll ask. That's pretty much what I did. I just asked for Coast Guard. Like I said, it's not a dire need that it has to be done this year. It can go on, and we can discuss it further on throughout the budget and processing and add it for next year. It's good. We've made the repairs that are there. I just wanted to put it out there to just say, if we had the money, if you were willing to do it, then we'd go ahead and knock it out. But trust me, either way, I'm fine with.
A little bit more banking on that one turn there, but it's good.
Yes, thank you.
Mayor Holland?
Yes.
So to help Joe and assist and better educate the board and keep everybody up to speed, the reason that we want to bring Coast Guard Road to your attention is that we count all the traffic, and 26% of your 4.2 million cars per year that come into Emerald Isle utilize Coast Guard Road. So the frequencies of the calls that you will receive over the course of the next 12 months will be erratically higher. We just want you to be aware of it. And the reason I sent a follow-up secondary email with greater detail on Saturday when I came into the office was to make sure that you had the full extent and not just the information that appeared in the packet in the green sheets. We work through this process on a year-long basis. There is a prioritization schedule to answer Commissioner Wooten's inquiry about the roadway. So it's gatoring, potholes, subsurface failure, surface failure, visibility issues, and then striping. All of that coagulated rolls up into Powell Bill funding. Powell bill funding comes to us in 2 tranches annually, and currently the estimated Powell bill funding is approximately $200,000 or $198 if you want to be a bit more accurate. We had around $38,000 of carryover from the last funding opportunity where we coalesced more than 1 year of paving together, and then we added a few dollars to it. So in the previous boards, what we would do is you would potentially take a year 1 cycle and a year 2 cycle, you combine those dollar amounts, and then you would pave every other year, which just extends your paving because it decreases your mobilization costs. We wanted to present you with the current list of roads. If you would like these paved between now and April, we would just need authority today, which is why you were briefed. If you approve that, then we'll go out for the competitive bid process where we secure 3 to 5 prices and try to average out that dollar amount and extend the dollar and get a little bit more in paving completed. The less amount of mobilizations you have, the further is the asphalt that you pave. It's a common sense approach. When we did Coast Guard Road a few years ago, it was very well received, but we were getting excessive complaints the last 6 to 9 months prior to the paving. We also want to let you know that in this packet of information that you have, that mobilization is part of it, and traffic control is approximately a $14,000 cost. And Joe also went out and secured pricing for striping, which is then subcontracted. It's lesser expensive if we, the town, engage those contractors for striping, so we are working through that through finance and public works to do it, not to roll it up in the bid. So does that help give a little bit better overarching umbrellas to, the choice is actually yours to make on which roads we want to pave, but we do prioritize those 1 down. When we went out for an informal pricing, we got to this cut line, which is the 8610 Canal Drive Old Ferry. That's where we would theoretically and hopefully come in under 235 because we don't want to bring you a laundry list that would come in over the estimated Powell bill funds that you do have. So you've got the bird in the hand conversation, and we want to stress to you again, it's not necessary that you pull the trigger on doing Coast Guard Road, but at least if you get a phone call or a conversation or you run into that new firefighter in the grocery section of Food Lion, and he says, wow, it's awfully bumpy down at the end of Coast Guard, you'll say, well, we're going to get to that next cycle. So this is the early year in advance conversation. This isn't a caught you Thursday to make a decision today conversation. So we just want you to be fully vested and well ahead. So if you have any other needs as we prepare for a potential board retreat in the first quarter of 2025, we can gladly put any of that other data together for you. But thank you.
All right. Yeah, paving's expensive, and that's why usually you see it in bigger chunks. And 135K doesn't seem like much. But
The board have any other questions for Mr. Smith?
My main thing is it's safe to drive on, correct?
Yes, sir.
It's safe to drive on at this point. It's gonna last. No threat to the public at this point.
I believe so, yes, Mark, or Commissioner Taylor, yes.
I like Commissioner Taylor.
Anyone else with questions for Joe? We'll turn it back over to the board for discussion. 2 potential motions. I'll let you all discuss and move forward as you see fit.
I'll make a motion to approve the use of the Powell bill funds to asphalt the listed priority roads.
All right, Commissioner Wooten with the motion to use Powell bill funds for the listed roads. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion is carried. Leave it again to you guys to address Coast Guard.
I make a motion that we table Coast Guard Road until we assess the funding for it, and I don't question that there will be an upcoming need for it, but I would like to get it on the cycle, be prepared for paving it next season.
All right, Commissioner Brownlow with the motion to table Coast Guard Road paving, potentially to the next cycle. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chuck.
Thank you all for your
Thanks,
time.
sir. All right, item number 12, our esteemed Finance Director Laura Ratchford with fiscal year 23-24 financial statements and a summary of the audit results. You guys excuse me for just a minute.
Carry on? Oh. Was it something I said? Let me get my notes here in a second. you, everybody. So the town's fiscal year ended on June 30, and our financial statements are complete. They're audited, and they will be on the website by the end of the week. Our auditors are S. Preston Douglas of Lumberton, and I will show you a picture of one of our auditors. That's Lee Grissom. He's the one in charge. This is our 8th year working with the audit team at S. Preston Douglas. And Lee met with our audit committee last week. He reviewed the audit with our staff in the audit committee. He was not able to be with us tonight, but I'm going to go ahead and go over a few of the highlights and dazzle you with a bunch of numbers. So hang tight with me, everybody. So in the statements, I did want to mention, it is a comprehensive financial statement. It's about 125 pages long. It has our basic financials, but we do have a lot of note disclosures and statistical data in there. So it is a really good resource. And so I'll just go ahead and start going through some of the highlights. The first one, this slide is our government-wide balance sheet, which is our statement of net position, or in other words, our equity. And so you'll find the key numbers here are highlighted in green. We have our current year 2024 data, and then on the first column, compared to 2023, and then the changes year over year. We ended fiscal year end with just over $39 million in total assets. The bulk of that, $25.7 million, is really our capital assets, which is going to be our land, buildings, vehicles, purchase and lease vehicles. Current assets were up this year. However, our capital assets remain pretty flat. We add capital assets every single year, and most notably, the biggest projects that we finished were the culverts on Archer's Creek, but with depreciation, that kind of leveled out. So we also had $7.7 million in total liabilities. This also includes long-term liabilities, such as installment purchase agreements with banks, our leased vehicles, our compensated absences for our employees, and our pension liabilities. And that also was relatively flat compared to last year. Bottom line, we ended with $33.7 million in total net position. The majority of that, again, is our capital assets on hand. We have restricted net position of just about $9 million, and the bulk of that is our Future Beach Nourishment Fund, our reserves that are for future beach nourishment. And then the remainder is unrestricted. The good news is we did see an increase over the prior year that we added to net position $1,192,000, and the main reason for this is our future beach nourishment reserves, and also our general fund. We added to fund balance in general fund. I'm going to spend a little bit of time, a few slides on the general fund. Our general fund is our major operating fund, and that's what we budget to on a daily and work to on a daily basis. And so similar to the slide I just had before, we have our 24 results compared to last year, and then the change year over year. And that green net change number is really the key there. We had added $417,957 fund balance for general fund. So that's really good. We had revenues right at $13 million. Expenditures in total, $12.3 million, and then we had some transfers out, and so grand total, end of the year, we added to fund balance, and now we're at $5.1 million in total fund balance. And a few things about that increase I wanted to highlight. We did have 66,257 in open purchase orders right at June 30. Some of those items were the replacement duty weapons, for example, that were on order that we didn't quite have on hand before we closed the books. The bathroom renovations was another big purchase order that was still open. And then we had a few other equipment orders. And then we also had 39,463 that we just discussed, and that was from our POW bill from last year where we didn't finish out that street repaving. So that's still in that 417,000 that's included to be used in this current year. And we reserved 110,000 for a gymnasium floor project. That's going to be done in a few weeks. So that leaves us with all those funds we had about 202,000 in unassigned fund balance, and that's really good, and you want to see that number add very gradually every year to our fund balance. All right. So more about fund balance. I did want to spend a little bit of time on this one, and I'm going to flip to my cheat sheet here. We do have 5 major categories of fund balance. We have non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, and then that unassigned number. And I just want to highlight that a little bit because that's one of our measures that I'll show you in just a minute. Non-spendable, very tiny dollars, but those are your prepaid expenses. Restricted is primarily a state-required figure, and that's really, the majority of that is our accounts receivables. We have committed, which is our law enforcement separation allowance. That assigned figure is that 110,000 that I just mentioned about the gym floor. And then that unassigned figure is at $3.4 million, which gets us to our 5.1 total fund balance. I'm gonna get a drink. And why that is important, one of the things that we measure, one of our metrics that we want to show you is fund balance in relation to our total expenditures. So this is one of our fiscal metrics that we look at, both from our town fiscal policy, but also with a statutory calculation. There's 2 calculations there, the town's calculation and then the statutory calculation. The town's policy measures our adjusted fund balance in relation to our total expenditures, and we want that to always be at least 25%, but we have a goal to get that closer to 50%. And this year we made 38.43, so we're up, so that was good improvement over last year. The statutory calculation is very similar. However, it's a little bit more restrictive, and you'll see that the numbers there, the numerator is a much smaller figure, and that is also required at that 25%, and this year we made 28.9%, so we met the threshold and exceeded it, and we want to keep, that gradual increase and make sure that we're always above that 25%. So good news, we met both metrics. This slide is our adjusted fund balance for several years, and I think it's a good graphical representation. So it's 2009 to 2024. And this is also in our budget book, and we just monitor this, but I like it because you can see that gradual increase. In 2009, our adjusted fund balance on the very left bar was just under $2 million. And then we closed out 2024 with just above 4.8 million. And that bar is color-coded. The adjusted balance is the unassigned portion, which is the blue bar on the bottom, and then the restricted for state stabilization, that's the red bar on the top. So just another image there that we are gradually increasing year over year, so that's good news. And last but not least, and this one's a little bit small, and I'm going to flip to my cheat sheet here. We also have 10 other funds that were recorded in the financial statements, and so I just wanted to spend a little bit of time on the other funds. The Future Beach Nourishment Fund is by far the other the largest fund besides the general fund, and we keep adding reserves to that. So at year end, we ended at just under $7.6 million in reserves for Future Beach Nourishment. Our Special Events Fund, we ended at $51,600. Last year, that was primarily due to the fishing tournament, and so you'll see that now that they've gone on to a not-for-profit, you won't see those fund balances so much going forward. Bike and Pedestrian Fund was $67,585 at year end, so we'll have those funds available for future bike and ped projects, bicycle path and sidewalk projects. Golf cart was $34,239, and then the dog park fund ended with $32,000. So those funds are available for future projects. And the last 5 projects on that dredge project, that nourishment project that we did for the point, that's was reported in our financials. I left it on the list, but it's completely closed out. The project's done, so there's no balance left on hand. And then the FEMA 428 projects, also listed on that listing there. Those are grant reimbursement projects. And there's 2 small negative balances where we had expenditures right at year end, but we just didn't get those reimbursements before we closed the books. So those will close out in 2025 as well. So, and that, I, kind of flew through the highlights. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer best I can. And that's what I got for you.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the board for 10, 11-time Finance Director Award winner, Laura?
I sit in on that board with Commissioner Wood here, and I just say it again this year. Great job, great work, and it's amazing to balance what all you do and the way it turns out and so forth. So thank you, Laura, for doing a great job as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would second that, and I know Lee Grissom would too. He wasn't able to join us, but on the call, he was singing Laura's praises. So thank you very much for covering down on all this and keeping track of all this. I can tell you it's a little bit different than running a business, but everything about municipal accounting, like what you went through here, I've learned from you. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Unless there's any other questions for Laura, we'll need a motion to proceed on item number 12. Need a motion to accept.
I make a motion to accept the June 30, 2024 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report.
Commissioner Wooten has the motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Laura, thank you so much for all you do. Very much. All right, item number 13, excuse me, be a roundabout flagpole discussion. I had conversations with some good friends and representatives from eiforvets.org. They asked for a flagpole at the roundabout, and I thought it was a fantastic idea, so I inquired to see what it would take to make that happen, if that could be made to happen. Quickly reminded that Emerald Drive is Highway 58 and that's DOT territory, so extra steps, not red tape, but extra steps. So brief summary, the board's asked to discuss the placement of a flagpole with the flag of the United States of America in the roundabout, which does require an application to and permission from the North Carolina Department of Transportation prior to seeking installation bids. Before I turn it over to the board, the Heritage statue, Christmas tree placement, and public safety should be considered. I'll note that eiforveterans.org has volunteered to raise the funds needed should the application process be seen all the way through. I'll see to it if the board sees a way and the North Carolina Department of Transportation sees a way, I'll but guarantee that it will not cost the town taxpayers $1. I know a little bit about a lot of stuff, but I know a lot about raising funds. That I'm really, really good at. I'll turn it back over to the board. Matt probably has some supporting information as far as the process, the costs associated with getting the ball rolling, but I stand behind eiforvets.org and everybody that makes up that body 110%. So I'll shut up now and you guys can have the floor. Matt, maybe I'll tap you to catch everybody up to speed on the process. Like I said, it's a little bit of a lengthy one, but if you could just kind of brief the board on the request, what's required, what's next, and then we'll open up a lot more discussion.
So the mayor asked that we reach out to Division II, Department of Transportation, which we did. If you're familiar, they have a very arduous task for placing anything of permanence inside the public right-of-way. And specifically inside the roundabout, there are some complications. Breakaway has to be an issue. You don't want to have something that would cause a further problem if a car struck it, would hurt people. So the design, style, and construction of anything goes in that right-of-way would have to be compliant with the DOT regulations. The packet of application, if you've ever put one together, they're not simple. And so The DOT team recommended that we have someone with that experience try to put together the structural, technical, aesthetics. It literally gets down to the actual width and length of the flag, the style and type of material, the total amount, thickness, height, depth of base, how much illumination, the direction, angle of illumination, all of those factors have to come into play. We already currently have a conflict inside of that roundabout, which is the donated statues that we'll work through, but also then the ability to erect the Christmas tree, which is a temporary permission that comes from DOT. And so we can work through all those issues. We reached out to 2 local structural engineers, one being Mr. Taney Browder and the other Coastal Structural. You had 2 quotes come in, and I want to be very polite and respectful that your lowest quote was less than $1,000 to put the paperwork together. And I do not suspect that that would be a completed application, as your second quote came in nearer $5,000. And so I think that Mr. Browder would probably stand to be able to put the packet together and be very effective. So if you're looking for a staff recommendation, we would encourage the higher of the 2 quotes so that you would get an accurate first swing at the ball. The one thing that DOT indicated to us was once you apply, you can't keep coming back with any changes or variations. So please make sure that it's an American-made flagpole, that your materials, all those factors that have to go into those conversations are addressed. So having read through both submissions by both engineers, I would recommend that if the board would like us to move forward, that we would work part and parcel with EI for Vets and Mr. Taney Browder to put the application together. We also looked at other alternative options. One of those options were partnering with the Tourism Development Authority of placing a larger, more prominent flag outside of the actual median of NC 58. But I believe, if I'm not speaking for the vets who are here today, the prominence inside of that roundabout is partially what we're really looking for. We already have a flag there at the TDA, but even if we put a bigger one, it might not still have that same impact that has been proposed to the staff through the mayor. So I can answer any other questions that you have other than the extent to the details inside of that DOT packet. I want to be very upfront with you. I'm not versed in those today, but we can answer any other questions that you have.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, back to the board for discussion. Before discussion, tonight the board is asked to decide yes or no on pursuing a flagpole in the roundabout. And 2, if yes, then who's to prepare the paperwork for the DOT? So I'll leave it back to the board for discussion.
Am I understanding correctly that the Christmas tree would not be able to go there if the flagpole is placed there?
No, ma'am. Our recommendation as a staff is that the Christmas tree is very well appreciated, so that whatever this design may be, whatever the height of that flagpole, that it could be disassembled easily enough that staff who's already erecting the Christmas tree could take down that potential, because you can't have them both. Not saying, I would say that my suspicion is you can't have the flagpole coming through the center of the Christmas tree. It would be in conflict. I'm not going to make any assumptions here, but just sharing that with you. So we would talk about a basic system that would either be sleeved or slipped. And then the question is, do we have to rent a piece of equipment to take the flagpole down in November, re-erect that flagpole in January, which is probably going to happen because our bucket truck wouldn't have the capability for that craning. So it's blending all these needs and working through that. So the direct answer to your question is no, ma'am, we wouldn't advocate for the loss of the Christmas tree in that center section.
And the Christmas tree remaining during those 2 months is not an issue for EI Vets?
I would prioritize the flag over the Christmas tree, but that's just for me. I love our country.
Of course.
If we find another place for the Christmas tree, potentially if you can't solve all the problems with taking it down and figuring out the design, it wouldn't be that hard to find another great place for the Christmas tree and put the flag up. Pretty important for what this community represents. 365, 24/7 versus just that little Christmas time period.
Understood, Kevin. Thank you.
I love everything about it. No, I love everything about it. I would probably, even with Irv sitting there, I'd probably prioritize the flag over the Christmas tree too, thinking we can find someplace. But I'll let you guys figure out those details. I think it's great. ready to roll.
Yeah, I was just, I think the flag's a great idea also. I think it represents who we are and the people we are. I would like to know, though, like to have a, if we're gonna do it, let's do it big, you know, a big flag, a big, you know, the big one, you know, not, make it really stand out if that's the plan. I'd like to kind of make it really pop. And I can see an opportunity too, the possibility, as a safety concern too, that if all vets could work it out in the application, all Fire Department during those red flag days could fly the red flag below the Christmas tree, or not the Christmas tree, but the flag. I'll get it right. Fly that to let the people know that the water might not be safe. It might be a good opportunity here also, if of course you were in agreement to that. But I think it's a great idea. I think it would look wonderful.
I definitely support our veterans and think the town should do all it can to support our veterans and our military. I mean, we're surrounded by military base here, and we enjoy the sound of freedom when the jets fly overhead. I like watching the C-130s take off with the JDOs at night sometimes. So I think it's a great thing, and I think the flagpole should be dedicated solely for the veterans flag and the American flag. So I'd entertain a motion that we approve the beginning of the DOT application process for proposed flagpole in the roundabout using the Browder, was that the?
Engineering.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Browder Engineering.
All right. Excuse me, Commissioner Brownlow has a motion to approve the beginning of the NCDOT application process for proposed flagpole in the roundabout using Browder Engineering. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Thank you. All right, that'll bring us to comments from our town clerk. Just like the last one. Town attorney? Thank you. Mr. Zapp?
Yes, sir. Thank you. For the edification of the audience that's physically here with us tonight, want to let you know that the monthly manager's report, which is a multi-page stapled color process, is available on the table at the back. It highlights all of our major projects as well as our potential cost recovery on PTC number 8, which is a direct recovery back to the town of $30,000 in that undeclared storm, as well as a potential recovery of up to $25 million for sand loss. We received confirmation from Carteret Craven Electric Cooperative that they will be once again using xylem tree experts to be pruning and trimming throughout the community. So we sent a notice out today. We made very similar posts on social media, and we also have a hard copy in the back in case you just would like a hard copy. And not to be funny, but if you have any concerns about the vegetation management program, Brent Toller, the right-of-way expert for Carteret Craven, is included in those postings as well as on the hard copy that we provided. And one more time, in addition to the public comments, want to remind everyone that the gymnasium is going to be closed effective today. And if everything and all the stars align, our goal is to open it immediately after the first of the year. There's a tentative schedule, which is subject to change. This is a massive uplift, so we removed the majority of the flooring today. We do have a major concrete pour scheduled for beginning November 18th through December 6th with a curing period, and then reinstallation of the new floor. So there's a substantial amount of work. And I wanted to point out that over the last 5 years, in addition to the board, the community, I want to thank the staff for their cost-saving measures that had seen that year-over-year savings in those large bars for fund balance. What we have done in the last 6 months is, I want to preface, even though we're carrying forward $400,000, some of that is already pre-allocated. And one of those investments, and it's not a spend, is the $120 plus to $135,000 improvements at the gymnasium floor. So you will see that impact 1 year from today in the next audit cycle for the last 6+ months and going into the next 6 months of the cycle. So the gymnasium investments, if I'm not mistaken, will be foregone out of that fund balance. So we want to let you know that that's underway. Thank you for the clarification on the Powell bill. What we're going to do then is staff will work to get Live Oak, 7600 block of Sound, Lee to Hickory, Hickory Street, Lee and Sound, the 8610 Canal, and through up into including Old Ferry. Bid out. Our process then would be to bring a potential contract to you as early as December if we can do so. And then that way we would allocate those funds and those contractors could begin paving when the asphalt batch plants are in process. in the first quarter of 2025. So for the audience, we do not want to be paving in spring when all the people are here and in late April and into May. But what normally happens is, as we've indicated, a smaller project will be put on the back burner. So I'm warning us today that even though we've took expedition in moving this forward, that you probably won't see paving contractors till late March into April and hopefully not into May, but wanted to address and tell you that that's there. The next to last item is the coffee press. So this month's Emerald Tidings went out to over 13,000 people. The printed copy is in the back of the room if you would like. The 2-pager, which identifies the native plant project and the success that was pushed on NC 58 as we worked as a group there. That's highlighted. The Holiday Arts and Crafts Fair. And thank you to the EIPD, who had another successful car show that raised a substantial amount of money over the weekend. Those dollars will be reinvested into this 2024 Shop with a Cop program, and that leads right up into the Christmas parade, which is also on your copy of the coffee press, which you'll see in some of the other local locations throughout the community. I just have one question for the board. If you wanted, we had sent an email request over to legal today clarifying if they would like, if you want us to do a comprehensive review of the town's full UDO to identify any conflicts or clarifying language that would assist the planning department. We can make the ask, but we would need your concurrence if you want to table it or wait. But we were just curious if that's something that this board wanted to ask our legal team to do so that we wouldn't have a lot of questions, and that if they had any other recommendations to clean up the language, if you will, for a lesser term to the current UDO. So that's a request. Would you like us to take action or not?
I make a motion that we ask legal to clean up the UDO, but in doing so, to actually give it some teeth. There seems to be some vagueness to some things right now, and I would like to see more things that are more clearly and succinctly defined.
Yeah, I'm all about, I have read that ordinance, and I've been doing regulatory compliance and enforcement my entire career with the state, as well as back when I was a municipal building inspector and code enforcement official at Palm Shores. I was also a certified zoning administrator, floodplain administrator, and all that. And I understand the importance of having clear language that's not ambiguous and specific. There's no way you're going to capture every scenario in written text for what you're going to encounter out in the field. However, before we go spending more money on the with attorney's fees on reviewing this ordinance, I would recommend that we might want to wait until we see what happens in the near future before we ask the attorney to review the ordinance. I think it definitely needs to be done, but I think right now we might need to wait.
I recommend that, that this is causing a lot of problems. It's caused a lot of problems the last 6 months for us. There's too many gaps in there and interpolations how it should be or it shouldn't be, too many opinions, and I think it needs to be reviewed.
Yep.
Without a doubt. It needs to be reviewed. It needs to be reviewed yesterday.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way, and I don't mean to step on your emotion, Alicia, but we'll sort it out. But I'm of the same mind that it does need to get sorted. I don't know how big relative to a bread box it would cost to have the lawyers look at it versus maybe have the planning board take a turn through it and highlight the areas to focus on where we see continuous questions, or Chris and the planning team say, here are the areas that we want you to focus on, not just go through the whole phone book full of UDO, because I think we just went through a pretty extensive effort rewriting that over the preceding 5 years or so. So maybe a focused review of it would be in order. That's my thought. I don't know how you would bound or how much it could conceivably cost to have lawyers going through it. No offense, Tommy.
Mayor Holland. So on that point, I can concur with Commissioner Wooten that we had a legal team. We actually had 2 legal teams, a professional firm, and a volunteer group, and the planning board all approve which currently exists. So they've already vetted it. So my concern is if legal has found any omissions, conflicts, And again, this is what you looked at before when you sent the 6 or 7 word change over. But unfortunately, it's still creating an issue for us. So if a deeper dive is needed, what I would recommend to this board is potentially you give a time frame and you give a potential cap and dollar amount. But we're having a very hard time doing our daily task because we're getting conflicting information. So again, what I would say is perform a comprehensive review, identify any existing conflicts, and bring forward recommendations that would clarify those exact conflicts that you have now identified in your review of that UDO document. That's what
In the last 3 months?
I mean, he's been on staff, so if you found any issues, we need to know and we need to change them at the next board meeting.
Okay.
That's what we're asking. So what I would ask is if you have a dollar amount threshold that you want to look at, because we don't want to open Pandora's box like you said.
Would you be able to have that done within 30 days? Would that, next meeting, would that be a possibility?
Absolutely.
Not a problem?
Not a problem. That's
What
deadline.
what kind of cost would you think you would need to do?
I don't know. I'm going to get with the town manager, I think, and see if I can get some specific areas they really want drilled down. Obviously, all the UDOs is a bit much. I think I have a general idea, some of the stuff we've talked about in the 4 meetings that I've been here. I think that's the general direction we need to go, and so if I can get some direction from him, then I can pretty much get it drilled down, and I can send off a blast to everybody saying this is our time approximation, this is what we think we need to accomplish to get this done. I'm happy to send it in advance of any sort of real deep dive, and I can send it to the town manager.
So I'm not shedding any responsibility here. That's what we sent over in electronics, so we've now done that. What I would ask is maybe they put a price together, and this is a board's decision because it's not actually my authority. I don't have the authority to make that call, but what we're just asking is if there's any conflicts in dunes and vegetation, the illegal removal of trees, all the items that we identified in the last few emails, we just want to make sure that what we're doing is fair and equitable for all parties regardless of that violation. And most recently, it was home-based business occupation because there's sections of our UDO that do allow daily compounding of fines, and it was said that it doesn't. So we're trying to just clarify where those areas are. And it was everything that Mr. Seaberg sent over today in electronic form.
Yes, sir.
I would start with that. That's what we think is the most,
Okay.
that's the broken bone.
Yep.
Right. And we're, according to our last legal invoices, we're already spending money. We're throwing money at these issues by paying the attorneys
Yep.
to look for these answers that we're still coming up empty-handed on, so we have nothing to show for it, which is the reason for my motion.
And I think in defense of Carolina Law Group, you're doing what we're asking you. We're just trying to say real clearly, we do this every day. We're going to need these tools every day. If you find anything that's in conflict or in opposition, then we would want a recommendation on how to undo the conflict or just bring clarity to those specific points, and that's all.
Let's just fix it.
Yep.
Yep.
If that's the instruction, then that's what I'll do.
Well, I'm only one person.
No, I'm good with that, and time box it by 30 days.
Yeah, what's the motion? Did you make a motion? Well, can you repeat it, please?
I make a motion that we request that legal address the specific areas that Mr. Zapp has briefly discussed, and I'm sure he could repeat if necessary, or the clerk could repeat. But they're basically ongoing issues that the town staff does not have understanding of the legal guidance from our current legal team, and we want them to interpret that, put it in plainer language that gives some enforcement ability to that language. And do that within 30 days.
All right, motion's on the floor by Commissioner Sanderson. Excuse me, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Comments from the commissioners? Mr. Taylor?
Once again, thank you, Laura. It's an honor to be on that committee with you. Probably the easiest part of the whole job is being on the committee with Laura, so it's, I cherish that time when we get to watch you work. So thank you very much. Thank y'all all for coming out. It's very good, and that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Wooten?
Thanks, Joe, for the update on paving and stuff. Looking forward to getting smarter on that. I know that there's a plan, and we got a finite amount of roads, so we should figure out how to stretch our dollars as far as they'll go. And a shout out to Parks and Recs team that did the natural plantings along 58. Those are beautiful. Every time I drive by, I'm like, wow, this is great. And I wish we could get a little bit of rain around here so Ryan's not out there watering them every 5 minutes, but they look great. And thank you, Laura, for all the work you do. Like Mark said, that's the easiest job in the world, is being on the committee with you. And you really have helped me to learn a lot. I'm looking forward to this next budget cycle, because with the county property valuations going up, if we aim for a revenue neutral kind of target, we might actually have an opportunity to dial back the tax rate a little bit, depending on how the property taxes go up and down and everything else. But there'll be a lot of good discussion to be had about our priorities and our financial planning going forward. So I'm glad we have you, and thank y'all. And thank y'all for coming out tonight.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Brownlow.
Could you come back to me?
Yes, sir.
Well, we should be
Absolutely.
good.
Mr. Sanderson.
Yes, sir. Just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And thank you all for being here. Thank you, Laura, for everything you do. Mark Cruz, I know you're hiding in there. Matt, thank you for representing the town so well, most recently in Morganton with, and sharing your expertise with those who were most impacted by Helene. And thanks to all the town staff for everything that you do. You're doing an amazing job. Thank you, Chief Panzarella, for the good that you'll be able to do with the funds raised from the car show. Congratulate you all on that success, and everybody keep up the great work.
Thank you, ma'am. If you're ready, sir.
Yeah, I'd also like to just say that happy Thanksgiving to everybody. This is the month to just think about what you're thankful for. And I grew up in this town, and I'm thankful that I have, and grown up here. And now you see my son come up here tonight. And it was tough to watch him in that much distress, that much emotion. But that's what's been going on in our lives, taking on the town we live in, the town I represent as a commissioner, that you voted for me to come up here and represent. And to be on the receiving end of that, I sure hope that if anyone else is alleged to have a violation, that they're treated with dignity and respect throughout the process and given due process. We've been working with the town, I thought, in good faith to resolve the matter, even though we weren't given due process to explain our side of, and ask some questions. And but there remains an interest among the town officials, including the town manager, in drafting a notice of violation to issue to us. Even though we have provided a sealed certified survey that shows that we are in compliance with 35% and that we have not removed any trees not approved by the town. And so it's just, with the engineer sealed survey and an expert testimony, we have an expert testimony on that would rebut the towns going out there with a tape measure. We have surveyors going out with physical laser equipment measuring everything, and the same engineer has been designing plans here since before Matt was here as the town manager. So apparently he wouldn't design me something non-compliant, and then all of a sudden now he's going to design me something that doesn't meet the rules. So I don't understand that. Other than this is probably political in nature. And so we contend, me and my family, and through our legal counsel, we contend that we will be able to meet and demonstrate that we are in compliance, and the town will not be able to meet its evidentiary burden to demonstrate that any trees were removed from our property illegally. And to date, the town has been unable to tell us the number, the type, and the location of any tree that has to be replanted, rendering compliance with the notice of violation if it's issued. And so I hope that for the sake of the taxpayers' expenses paying for this bill, that we can resolve this matter to avoid any further undue cost, not only for myself and my family, but for you folks also. And also, just so we can get on to managing a town and running a town and not having to worry about whether me as a commissioner has violated the rules or not, because I can assure you that we have not. And so this is important to me and my family. We are stewards of the environment. That was my career with coastal management. I remember the town had a certain technical oversight over in Archer's Creek, and over an acre of marsh got killed because of emissions and getting permits and stuff like that. But the board at that time expressed generosity and pardoned everybody involved with it. All right, and that was unknown. A violation had occurred, a CAMA violation, but the board pardoned it. In this case, there's nothing to support the town's case. And we have all the evidence that we need to support our case. So we're prepared. So I hope that we can just be thankful that this will end soon and we get back to just getting commissioning and running a town and not having to put on this circus just for politics' sake. Because if it was really concerned that I was a city commissioner and it was awkward, there was a lot of incidents that were done that if it was awkward, such as flying drones over our property without consent, that could have been prevented. Such as we could have asked for an as-built survey right from day one, put it on a third party. Nobody would have had to make that decision except the surveyor. So there are other ways that this could have been addressed if it was awkward. So I just ask that this be in quick and for the sake of my family and the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a great night.